everybody, and welcome to another video here. So, the Baltimore Orioles wound up beating the Kansas City Royals today by the final score of 8-2, and the Orioles have now won 4 games in a row, and now we head into the All-Star break. So, let's pretty much go over the first half of the season. Let's pretty much talk about how everything has been going and probably some things that could be going a lot better, but it is pretty difficult, with the excuse me, with the injuries that we've had this year with a lot of players. Like Jackson Holiday wasn't really healthy this year. He had an injury and he wasn't able to play on opening day, and we didn't have people like Jordan Westberg, and he unfortunately winds up missing the rest of the season because of Tommy John surgery. Originally, at first, I think it was just something like some kind of injury with his elbow, his arm, or something like that. So now, pretty much, Westberg had the surgery, and he's probably not going to be back until probably sometime in the summertime, like probably August, I'm guessing, because it takes about a year to recover from Tommy John, maybe 10 months, depending like how it goes and stuff. And we don't have Felix Bautista, our closer. He usually was, because he's still recovering from his injury, but there is some hope that he may be coming back probably maybe around the month of late August or September, something like that. But a lot of people, I think, do want him back. But Ryan Helsley, who has been our closer, and we signed him to a 2-year deal, and he's had some discomfort in his elbow. He was warming up in the bullpen recently, about a little over a week ago, I think, and he wound up getting placed on the disabled list, or the injured list, I should say, because they don't call it the disabled list anymore. But he wound up getting placed on the injured list, and we called up, I think, Cameron Foster or somebody that we called up. Or so far, the closer has been Tyler Wells, but really, Andrew Kittredge has actually been doing pretty good. I mean, I know people weren't too big on him at first because he was with us last year, but he wound up not pitching for the first 2 months of baseball, like the month of April, well, late March, April, and May. I think he came like the month of June or something like that. I'm really not sure. But really, and by the way, the thumbnail that I have, that picture, it's not like a photo like from today or anything. It's just a ordinary, well, it's a family photo from 2016, and I just wanted to use like a picture, I didn't want it to be like a, my profile picture like I usually have, for my YouTube. But yeah, so basically, Kittredge, pitched a good amount, from last year, but then he went to the Chicago Cubs, and the Orioles, I think, were, I don't know, I mean, they probably were happy, but I wasn't too thrilled about the Orioles, trading him to that team. I mean, he wound up returning to Baltimore this year, and he, made the opening day roster, and he has been doing all right. I mean, I think he's been doing, I would say probably pretty good, because he has been getting some saves for us, and they say that Tyler Wells is like the new closer, but I personally would like Kittredge, more than Wells, because Kittredge has got a better pitch selection, and Wells just has, I think, the cutter, the fastball, and a slider, and a changeup and curveball, something like that. I really don't know his pitch arsenal, but yeah. So the first game was, I believe it was Trevor Rogers that was pitching, yeah, and he did actually pretty well. He really did. I don't remember the scores, but he did pretty good. And then yesterday was Kyle Bradish, and Kyle Bradish actually took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, but he wound up pretty much giving up a hit because I got like alerts on my phone, and it said that Bradish had a no-hitter going, but then after that he lost it. But that's pretty much like how it goes in baseball, but Bradish has really been doing pretty good, and now it's good to see Trevor Rogers, doing good. If he start winning a little bit more games, it'd be better, but he has actually been doing pretty good in the month of June. His ERA, I think, was under 3. for the games they did. He got off to a horrible start in April and May, and I think like a little later in May it got like a little bit better for him. But the month of June was really better for Trevor Rogers, and of course this guy was the ace. Um, I think last year or something like that, it wound up being Zach Eflin, but Eflin wound up having an injury, and he was unable to pretty much pitch in any more games. I think he had like some discomfort in his back or something, or no, I think that was last year, but something that he wound up having, and pretty much Zach Eflin wound up having Tommy John surgery as well too. So two people we lost from the same injury, and now, the injuries, of course, kept building up. Like Trevor Rogers got placed on the injured list, but I think he just had an illness. I don't think it was like, like an injury, like, to his pitching arm or any other, you know. Um, of course, Pete Alonso has been doing actually pretty good. I mean, his average is about 250, which isn't really the greatest, but he wasn't elected to the All-Star game, which is sad. It would have been nice if he did, but he did not. The only one that was elected was Adley Rushman, and not really too thrilled. I mean, well, honestly, I mean, it's good. I mean, Adley is pretty much, I think it's a three-time All-Star now because he was in the 2023 All-Star game and the one from 2024 and now this one. But I don't really know about 2025. I don't think he was. I can't even remember who was at the All-Star game in 2025 from last year. I mean, uh, yeah, it's not coming to me, unfortunately. But, yeah, I think 2024, we had Adley and we had Corbin Burns because Burns signed that deal with us, but well, he was actually acquired. I mean, but he never did sign a deal with us. Burns was named the opening day starter for us and the starter for the All-Star game, but a lot of people weren't really too thrilled about it. They wanted to be Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers. But, yeah, Burns, actually did all right. He didn't really do the greatest in the All-Star game, but he did put up some pretty good numbers for the Orioles. I mean, he really, did really well. I mean, I think he was like 13-9 or something like that. I think we did make the playoffs, yeah, but we lost, I think, was it the, yeah, it was the Royals because 2023 it was against the Texas Rangers and they wound up winning the whole thing. But yeah, it was a shame to let Corbin Burns go, and he signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and unfortunately Corbin Burns has not pitched at all this year because of his injury. And it's a shame, because of the fact that Burns, is a very good pitcher. And yeah, it's a shame, because the rotation also consisted pretty much of Corbin Burns. I'm pretty sure Grayson Rodriguez is in there somewhere, and Dean Kramer. I don't know who else is on the roster. I mean, it wasn't Trevor Rogers, because Trevor, I think, came like in the later years or something like that. But pretty much Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kramer, Kyle Bradish, and possibly Tyler Wells, and I'm pretty sure there's another pitcher, like a 5-starter in 2024 with us, but I don't have like, a computer to look that up or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure it's those 4 people I mentioned: Burns, Rodriguez, Kramer, Bradish, and I'm trying to think like who exactly is with us right now, but it's not Boz because Boz was with Tampa Bay, and it's not Brandon Young either because Brandon Young, I think, was in the minors somewhere. He didn't make his debut, I think, until 2025. And that's another thing. Brandon Young has actually been doing pretty good. Brandon Young has an ERA about 3.60, I want to say, or something like that. He looks like somebody in the running for the Rookie of the Year award, but it's kind of tough, because there are other people, there are candidates too. We also got, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty good too. I mean, he's, 'Samuel' Basallo, that's doing pretty been hitting some home runs. I mean, people aren't really too thrilled, with him playing catcher a lot of times too. I mean, let me see if I can put my phone somewhere. Getting a little tired of holding this. There we go. That's better. Yeah. I mean, sorry if you see like stuff in the background and stuff. There's like an Oriole jersey over there, and there's Oriole Hawaiian shirt. So yeah, sorry. But yeah, when we pretty much wound up signing Pete Alonso to that big contract, that was something that really, really surprised the hell out of me. I did not really expect that. I really expected it to be Ryan Mountcastle, but Mountcastle has been hurt this year. Supposedly, the last thing I heard that he's been doing some running, and he probably would be back probably around August, I want to say, like sometime around there, like after the All-Star break. But it's it's tough for him, because first base is now occupied by Alonso, but we do have the designated hitter role, but mostly it's been Samuel Basallo or sometimes Taylor Ward, I guess. Like if he wants to DH and somebody else play outfield, or Gunnar Henderson could even DH. And that's another thing too. Gunnar Henderson is not really putting up the numbers like he did before. Unfortunately, Gunnar has been, pretty much not doing the greatest. I mean, excuse me. He's been doing all right, but again, not really the greatest because of the fact that he had all them home runs that one year and hit, I think it was 37 or something like that, which is the highest ever by an Orioles shortstop. It was by Cal Ripken with 34 back in 1991 when he won the MVP award, I should mention. But yeah, I mean, Cal Ripken has had, days where he's batted like 210 or 220 in the season and stuff, but then he would get the average up to about 250 or 260 or higher. And yeah, I mean, I know it disappoints people, and yeah, people have a right, if they want to boo the player or something like that, but it's sad, because it's it's the fans' choice, there isn't anything, where they say, oh, you have to like cheer for the player every time, or you can cheer them or you can boo them. We did it with Chris Davis many times. We put up with that shit for God, a pretty good while. I mean, almost 10 years, actually. I mean, he came in 2011, late 2011, and finally his tenure ended probably around 2020 or 2019, the COVID era, but I'm pretty sure it was 2020 because we didn't really play a full season at all, and he played a little bit, and then after that, he just pretty much retired, and we still got to owe him all that money. And I know people probably still like him, but the fact was that we paid him all that money, and unfortunately we're still paying him some of that until like 2028 or something, or I really don't know. But we signed him for that money because he hit 53 homers in 2013. 2014, he didn't really do much. I mean, he did some. 15, I think he hit 47 home runs. In 2016, I think he hit 43 or something, or somewhere around the 40s. I don't really know. Then free agency came, and well, actually, it happened in late 2015 when they knew he was going to be a free agent. So they just wound up signing Chris Davis for like a 6-year deal or something for about 140 million or 120. I don't know the exact amount, but really, I think it should have went to Manny Machado because the Orioles, were, you know, loving the way he was playing. He was hitting home runs and getting a lot of hits. Like in 2015, I think Machado hit like 35 home runs or something. And the crazy thing was that they had Machado in the leadoff spot a lot of times, and I'm like, no, we shouldn't have Manny Machado in leadoff, because if you got a guy that's hitting like 35 homers or whatever, yeah, you really shouldn't be doing that. But yeah. And honestly, I am glad that we didn't pay Manny Machado all that money because Machado now has just got a really bad attitude. I know a lot of people, really like him still, but I'm not one of them anymore. I mean, he's just absolutely turned into one of the most overrated players in baseball. He really shouldn't have been, throwing his attitude like this, around. He unfortunately has been doing this probably since 2014 when he got into the altercation with Josh Donaldson of the Athletics in 2014 when Machado got tagged by Josh Donaldson and Machado fell down to the ground. Well, personally, like Machado lost his balance because he was trying to avoid the tag, and Donaldson wound up, like hitting him like in the stomach or whatever, and Machado fell down to the ground and threw down his helmet in frustration. I mean, honestly, I think it was because Machado was trying to avoid the tag and avoid running out of the baseline, but I think he was also mad because he thought Donaldson tagged him a little too hard. But personally, Machado just got really, really out of hand for doing that. It was something that he, you know, shouldn't have done. He should have kept it to himself, and he did not because he was just upset about it. And sorry, I'm looking over there because I got my TV on, but still, he just absolutely got pissed off about it. And then after that, like 2 days later, the Athletics were playing the Orioles, and Machado was at bat. Machado got thrown by a pitch like really, really inside from the pitcher, and he wound up getting mad about that. And then after that, Machado, I think, got thrown at or something like that, and then he just wound up throwing his bat down to the third base line and absolutely got mad. I think it was intended for it wasn't Josh Donaldson at third base, it was somebody else, so he just wound up getting mad about it, threw his bat down the line. The umpire stepped on it, and that's when the benches started to clear as everybody was coming right at Machado and, just pretty much got really upset about it. And yeah. So I think Machado was ejected from the game, and I don't even know if we won that game either, but still. I remember that, I think I was out with my folks that time in 2014 when that game happened. But yeah, it was something that was just really, really ridiculous. But yeah. So pretty much, sorry. Pretty much after that, Machado, I think, missed the rest of the season because he was hurt. And he just wound up coming back the next year, and he had a much, much better season in 2014. He slugged, I'm pretty sure, about 35 homers and had a really good season. I think he finished in the top 10 in the MVP voting. But still, people are definitely, going to be saying that the money should have went to instead of Chris Davis, should have went to Manny Machado. But yeah. But this season has pretty much been okay for the Orioles. It hasn't really been the greatest. It could have been better. Like, the record could be flipped around. It could be like 45-39 or whatever the record is. I'm pretty sure it was like, I think it's 39-45 right now. But it's tough, because the Yankees, they've been doing, I've been looking at the standings, and somebody said that the Yankees have lost like 8 in a row or something, but I just looked today and there was nothing on there. I mean, I think it was another team. I can't remember which team it was. I mean, I think the Athletics have lost a good amount of games, or no, it's the Red Sox. The Red Sox have won 8 in a row, because when I'm looking at it, and that's what it said, and I was kind of surprised about that. But yeah. Yeah, the standings as it is, on top for the American League is pretty much the Tampa Bay Rays, which is another surprise, but that is pretty good, to see them doing that good. The Yankees in second place, I think Blue Jays in third, I think it is, and the Red Sox in fourth, and us in last. Well, actually, I think it's the Red Sox in third, then the Blue Jays and us. And I'm tired of the Blue Jays winning a lot of times. I really am not a huge fan of the Blue Jays. I mean, I've liked some players they've had, over the years and stuff, but not like every player, Still think, the Blue Jays, are a team that's ridiculous sometimes, but tired of, the way they are, sometimes. The Central, the Guardians, I believe, are in first, and the second place team, it might be the White Sox, or it might be the other way, the White Sox in first. Yeah, I think it is, and then the Guardians. Third place, again, I don't remember because I haven't looked at MLB standings. I'm pretty sure I can do it this way. Okay, that wasn't very helpful, actually. Crap. Okay, because apparently I gotta scan this on my phone. I can't really do that. Fudge. What place are the Orioles in? Yeah, it says we're in fifth. American League East standings. Okay, so Tampa Bay, and then the Yankees, Red Sox, and Orioles. I mean, I guess Blue Jays maybe in last place because we won, or I really don't know. American League Central standings. We got White Sox, Guardians, Twins, then probably the Tigers and the Royals, because the Royals, they pretty much lost to us. But yeah. And then the West, I think it was the Mariners, and then probably the Rangers, then the Astros, the Athletics, and then the Los Angeles Angels and Anaheim. So the National League East, I know it's the Braves because they're doing really good. Then not sure if it's the Nationals. I mean, there are actually the Phillies, and then probably the Nationals, and then and probably the Mets, and then the Marlins, something like that. The Central, I believe, is the Cubs, and I don't know who else for the probably the Cardinals, and then the the Brewers. I think the Brewers, are in first place. The Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals, and then probably the Pirates, and I always forget the team in the Central. The Pirates and the Reds. So might be the Reds in last place or the Pirates. Either way, I looked at it today, but again, I'm not too sure. And the National League West, the Dodgers are now in first place. Second place, I think, is the Diamondbacks. Third place was the Padres. Fourth place, the Giants. And last, the Rockies. So, yeah. It's pretty interesting, sorry. It's pretty interesting, the way that it's been, with the way the season has gone. Again, it could be better for Baltimore, but I mean, record could be better. It could be the other way around and stuff. But it's tough. With the teams, like I said, with the Yankees and the Rays. But the Red Sox have been doing pretty well, and yeah, it's hopefully the Orioles can do better. After the All-Star break. Sometimes the Orioles, back in 2005, the Orioles were doing really, really good in the first half, and then after that, after the All-Star break, things went downhill. Well, they started going downhill probably around late June, something like that. We had all those people in 2005, like we had Brian Roberts at second base, we had Melvin Moore at third, we had Miguel Tejada, we had Sammy Sosa. Yeah, I know it's crazy, because of the fact that people don't remember Sammy Sosa being an Oriole, and probably some people don't remember him being a Chicago White Sox, but that is the team that he did play for shortly after the Texas Rangers. He did play with the White Sox for about a few seasons before he went to the Chicago Cubs. Then the Orioles for one season, and then he was out of baseball in 2006 and returned in 2007 with the Texas Rangers. Now, yeah, he didn't really put up the greatest numbers with Baltimore. He was hurt, a good amount of times, and the whole steroid controversy thing. I mean, yeah, it was not really, that great. And then we also had Rafael Palmeiro, who was approaching 3,000 career hits. We had Javi Lopez, who had a great season with us in 2004, but wasn't even an all-star. And we had Jay Gibbons, Luis Matos, and Larry Bigby. Pretty much all those people. Um, like Jay Gibbons had some pretty good seasons with us in 2003, and a few others. Larry Bigby had a pretty good season in 2004, and Luis Matos was doing pretty much okay. He was pretty much a center fielder. I know a lot of you are questioning, who are these people? Well, the thing is because they were people like in the Orioles organization, or they were prospects, and some of them wound up being pretty good, some of them not so great. Well, Brian Roberts, he wasn't a bust or anything. He was actually pretty good, but he did have the injury, he had in 2009, 10, and 11. Or actually, no, 2010, 11, and 12. He bounced back a little bit in 2013, but he really could not stay healthy. Ever since 2010, when he had those concussion issues and all that, he tried in 2012, to try and make a comeback, but it happened again. And after that, 2013, he was doing all right. But then after that, he went to the New York Yankees for one season. And no, he's not a trader. Neither is Mike Mussina. But it was something he tried to do, but he didn't do the greatest. After that, pretty much he retired. But he has some good seasons with us. Melvin Moore, well, he wasn't really drafted by us. I think he was drafted by the Mets, and he came to us in 2000. But he was pretty good. Miguel Tejada, well, he had a few good seasons with us, but after that, the whole, they always, bring up players and say, oh, this person, did this drug or whatever and all that crap. But Tejada, just had a couple of good seasons, but he was decent. After that, Luis Matos, he was pretty much all right. He wasn't that great for Baltimore. He was all right. Not the worst. He could hit the ball and he could field it as well too. But he was pretty much all right. And Javi Lopez, he never was drafted by Baltimore, or Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro was drafted by, I want to say, the Cubs, and had a bunch of good seasons with us. And Javi Lopez had a great season with the Braves and had one good season with us. The others, he was hurt in 2005 and 2006. He was playing all right, but then he got traded to Boston, I think. But yeah. So, yeah, it's been pretty much an all right season for Baltimore, but it could be a little bit better. Like I said, what grade I would probably give it. I'd probably give it a B. Definitely not an A, or definitely not B minus or a C. Just a B. It's not the worst, like I said, but it could be better, but it's just the way it is sometimes, we got a new manager, and we've got, I thought for sure they were going to keep Tony Manzolino, the guy that we had last year, because he actually did pretty well, as a manager for us. I'm sorry, but Brandon Hyde, I really wasn't a fan of the guy. I know a lot of people, say that he was a great manager. Yes, he won the Manager of the Year award in 2023, and, he was the kind of guy that, oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Ooh, sorry. But really, I think, for Craig Alvarez, the guy is pretty good. He seems like the kind of guy that's pretty, devoted to the team. He seems like a really cool guy. People are always writing on Facebook and social media, saying that he needs to be fired and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, you think you can do a better job? That's just the way people are. That's just people, being so ridiculous. I've said it many times before when I've said, oh, Brandon Hyde has got to go and all that. Everybody will always say, it's not Brandon Hyde's fault. I'm like, well, he's in charge of the team. He's telling them, okay, you're batting lead off, you're batting second or third, and all that stuff. And everybody would say, look, why don't you take Tyler O'Neill out of the lineup, or why don't you do this, and all that, just really, I mean, Brandon Hyde has made many bad decisions before, and I'm sure Craig Alvarez has done the same thing too, but I like Craig Alvarez. He's a pretty good guy. I mean, he's not the greatest, but he's just getting started, being the manager. I mean, some probably wanted Brandon Hyde to return as manager, but he never did, of course, because he was fired. And of course, a good amount of people were pretty happy about him being fired, but a good amount were also not too happy. A lot were saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have fired him. You should have fired Mike Elias," or that sort of thing. And like, there we go again. Everybody like always complain about Mike Elias, but personally, I don't think they're going to fire Mike Elias. I think they'll still be the general manager of Baltimore. Of course, some don't like David Rubenstein, the owner of the Orioles, but the guy is actually pretty cool. I mean, everybody just likes to be all negative all the time. That's just the way everybody is. But really, I mean, hopefully the season, gets, a little bit better. It's been tough, a lot of games, we probably should have won, and probably even some games that we should have lost, Because some would probably say, yeah, I mean, way we played in that game, we could have played better, and more probably some have said, we don't deserve to win that game. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been to, I think, 2 games this year, and one of them was a loss and the other was a win. The first one was against it was the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think the game was scoreless until like the 8th inning or ninth or something. We tried to get back into the game, but Arizona just kept scoring more and more runs. But that happens. What was the other one? The other one was on Memorial Day. I went with my aunt, and that actually was a really good game, but a long one. It lasted from about 1 o'clock till almost 6 o'clock because the game went to extra innings. The game pretty much, like I think, like when the Orioles, I think the game was scoreless and probably till the 7th or 8th inning. And pretty much it was if Tampa Bay scored, then we score. Then same thing over and over again until we got to the 13th inning. But Colton Cowser went up hitting the walk-off home run, which is amazing. I recorded it. It's on my YouTube. You can check that out. I mean, it was amazing. I was so, happy about that, and was really concerned. We were going to lose because there was people leaving and saying that we always lose when we do this kind of stuff, but we wound up walking it off, and I'm like, well, there you go. That was pretty incredible. But yeah. So, yeah, I like to go to Oriole games a lot of times, but I work a lot of times too. But, yeah, it's tough, these games, man. I know I keep saying that a lot, and I'm sorry, but it's true. Oh, it's true. It's damn true, as Kurt Angle would say. But it always has been tough, We had a really, really good season in 2023. I mean, but look at the rotation. We had Kyle Gibson, who actually did really good. Then we had Kyle Bradish, and Grayson Rodriguez came up like a little bit in the later years, or later months, excuse me. And I think, yeah, and Dean Kramer, and I think Tyler Wells, maybe. I don't really remember. We've had our share of pitchers over the years. But yeah, Kyle Gibson, I think, attempted to return last year, I think, with us. But Gibson did not do the greatest. He got roughed up in like 3 starts or whatever and gave up like more than 5 runs. I mean, he just did not have it. I mean, we really should have signed him like in the beginning of the season last year. And it probably would have been different and probably better, I think. But yeah. And I'm watching some classic Orioles baseball from 1996 on YouTube. Yeah, so, what else was I saying? But tickets are always expensive a lot of times at Oriole games because a lot of times, try and go to games, and they always sell the tickets for high prices, like the Splash Zone. If they have like special guests there or anything like that, and of course the tickets go up. Yeah, but 2023 was just an amazing season. Of course, um, we had Adley Rutschman at catcher. We had Ryan Mountcastle at first. I believe we had Adam Frazier at second base. I don't think we had Rougned Odor, and we didn't have Holiday because he wasn't playing yet. Third base, I think, was Westberg. Shortstop, of course, was Gunnar Henderson. Left field, I think we had Austin Hayes and Colton Cowser. Center fielder was Cedric Mullins, and right field was Anthony Santander, or occasionally designated hitter. Designated hitter was, again, mostly either Mountcastle or um, Cowser, and mostly it was Anthony Santander, but mostly in the outfield was Hayes, Santander, or Hayes, Mullins, and I think there was somebody else, that played outfield. It wasn't Jorge Mateo. He was more of a, well, he did play a little bit of center field, I think, for Mullins, but I think Mateo was just a little bit better as an infielder. I can't remember who played outfield with us as well. I know. I can't really think of them. Yeah, I can't really think of his name. I know he doesn't play with us anymore because it's not Leody Tavares. He's with us now. He was with, I want to say, Texas, and it was not Tyler O'Neill. He was with Boston still. I cannot remember who also played outfield with us. I mean, yeah, it was somebody. I mean, I just have no idea exactly who it was. I mean, yeah, 2024, I remember when we had Craig Kimbrell on the team, and he wound up being our closer after, what's his name, Felix Bautista was hurt around the month of late August, so we wound up signing Kimbrell to a one-year deal. And Kimbrell got off to a pretty good start, but at first, when he got signed, everybody was like, oh, God, this guy is going to stink it up or whatever. But most people were pretty happy about it. But pretty much, Kimbrell got off to a good start, but then he wound up blowing saves and all that stuff. And yeah, it just got really out of hand. But yeah. And Cedric Mullins didn't really put up great numbers like he did in 2021. And unfortunately, in 2025, Cedric Mullins wound up getting traded from Baltimore to the New York Mets. And I wasn't really too thrilled about that because Cedric Mullins had been with the Orioles since 2018, but they wound up doing that because they just wanted somebody different on the team, and plus they just took him off the team and put him on a team that was winning and stuff, or in playoff contention. We usually do that. We trade away players, take them to a different team, like if they're in the playoff hunt or anything like that. Or same thing with the other teams. They have a player and we're doing pretty good, and they'll bring the player over to us. Like when we got Jim Thome back in 2012, when Thome was playing with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies weren't really in playoff contention, so they traded him to the Orioles, and that really surprised me because I was like, I think I was out that day, and then I'm getting an alert on my phone or something, or on Facebook, and they said that the Orioles have acquired first base designated hitter Jim Thome for some minor leaguers or something like that, and I'm like, really? Of course, everybody was probably like, well, it would have been nice if we got him like many years ago, but he actually did, all right. I mean, he went to the playoffs with us, but he didn't put up like a whole lot of power numbers, but he did all right. Yeah. So, probably going to wrap this up now. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 40 minutes, and not really a whole lot of people have been saying much, but not a lot of people joining in either. But yeah. Yeah, but the season has been pretty much okay. Like I said before, I mean, not the greatest. It could be better. But you could be in like third place or second place or even better in first place. But we played them games against Tampa Bay, and we actually did pretty well. We swept them from the games on Memorial Day that we did, and the next one, and the next one. I think it was a 3-game sweep. But we did play them, I think, in Tampa Bay, and we wound up losing a good amount of them. Yeah, it was in Tampa Bay because Cedric Mullins returned for the first time in a while, and they gave him a real nice standing ovation. I mean, I didn't get the whole thing because they were showing videos of him like when he first started, and I started to get a little emotional, because they were, talking about him like, oh God, and I thought for sure, he's coming up. Well, he wasn't coming up to bat, but I didn't know they were going to do that already. I thought, Cedric was going to, they were going to come up and then everybody was going to stand on their feet. But he just wound up, getting a really nice ovation. The lady, Adrienne Robinson, or Robertson, whatever her last name is. She's a public address announcer. She announces the lineups and who's coming up to bat and all that stuff, or a pitching change, and if the Orioles or the other team win, you know what I mean. Like if the Orioles win, and she'll say like the final score and who got the win and the loss or the save, or tell the fans, thanks for coming and drive home safe or whatever, or pretty much a thank you. What was I gonna say? So yeah, when she was introducing Cedric Mullins, everybody was getting to their feet, and of course he was in the on deck circle, but he did wind up taking his hat off, or his helmet, and saluted everybody, which is definitely pure class. He's always been that way. But it would be nice if we did have him back on the team, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that because Cedric is on a first place team, and he would basically, with him coming back to us, everybody's gonna say, well, it won't make sense, but probably in a way it wouldn't, because of the fact that we would probably take him, over Tyler O'Neill, but I don't really think the Orioles are gonna do that. I mean, it would be nice to, have him come back, but yeah, so, because he always had some good seasons with us. He really did. He had the one good season in 2021. I think he was an All-Star twice in 2021, and I think I can't remember. I don't think he was in 2022. I think it was Jorge Lopez at pitcher. In 2023, I don't really remember. I think he might have been in 2020. No, he wasn't in 2024. Maybe 2023. Again, I don't remember. Not sure. But anyway. So I'm gonna probably wrap this up, because been doing this for a while, like I said, but yeah. So, but it was good that the Orioles finally won a game, and finally, we swept them. It was really good, a royal flush, as some people have been calling it. But yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. Hope everybody enjoyed this. So thanks again for joining in, and you all take care.